Welcome to the SJ Childs Show, where a little bit of knowledge can turn fear into understanding. Enjoy the show. Hi, welcome to the SJ Childs Show. Today, I'm really excited to be speaking to Nikki and Bobby. And I didn't ask you how to pronounce your last name. I'm going to let you say it so I don't just go, myrtleizing things. It's so nice to meet you.
It's Morong, you too.
Morong. Okay,
Morong,
good.
yeah.
I wouldn't have been too far off. So luckily can't go too wrong with that. It's so nice to meet you guys. I am excited to talk about the service and the product that you guys have that we'll be showing a little bit later. And we'll have links to everything for everyone listening and watching. So without further ado, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and what brought you here.
Well, I was a teacher for close to 20 years in the Boston area. I started off in special education, and then I was a elementary phys ed teacher and adaptive phys ed teacher. So I did that up until 2020, and I invented a shoe tying tool for my students that I used in my classes. And when the pandemic first hit, the school district got rid of all the specialists. So I was, like I said, I was a phys ed teacher, so they got rid of counselors, art teachers, music. And I used that time to start a Kickstarter based on the tool with the encouragement of my wife to sort of like take the tool out of the classroom and see if it can be helpful to others out there. So we took that time to start a Kickstarter, and then we became a real business, got our item patented, and now we're just sort of trying to show the product out to the world and show that there's an easier way to learn how to tie shoes.
Congratulations on that as well. And it's so nice when you have a partner to work with together and help get things done and stay on track and all of the things. So yeah, that's really exciting. And I'm so glad that it became, a product and you got the success through the Kickstarter and everything. Those are so wonderful. I'm an author and I really should have done that now that I just knew about it like 10 years after, so maybe we'll go back to the drawing board someday.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. Well, tell us about your experiences because a lot of the families that will be listening and watching do have special needs kids. And it's really important that we give kids their space, meet them where they're at, but also have tools available for them. And that's something that's missing a lot of the times, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's where this sort of came from. I was an elementary phys ed teacher, like I said, and I had classes of 60, 70 kindergartners, and they'd come in and, the parents would be too busy and some of the teachers would be too busy to teach them how to tie their shoes. So the kid is just left there with no help. And then my adaptive phys ed students, a lot of them had learning how to tie their shoes on their IEPs, but they had been struggling with that still for years. So a lot of them just kind of seemed like relegated to just having Velcros, and you could tell it's not like a proud thing to wear Velcros to be forced into Velcro, or to have shoelaces that are all mangled and like you're tripping over, and it just wasn't safe. So I spent a lot of time learning all different sort of techniques and different songs and different rhymes and different ways to hold the laces, and I just thought like, and then I tried to look out there to see if there was any like easy tool that I could use to help teach my students how to tie their shoes. And there just wasn't. There was a lot of stuff that were like off of the shoe, and there were sort of like Band-Aids where you would just not learn how to tie your shoe, but you would just have like a fastener on your shoes, but nothing was there to like encourage the learning, which is what I wanted. I wanted to teach my students how to do it so they could do it themselves, and then free up the parents' time and free up the teachers' times. So I just started like cutting pieces of like my wife's old purses or my name badge, and just sort of coming up with little early like crude versions of it, and it was starting to work, and so I just started using that in my classes, and it went from something where I would have classes for the first couple weeks of school teaching all my students to learn how to tie their shoes, and it went from that to just like being able to learn in one day or under 10 minutes.
Wow.
With most of my students. So it was really, really awesome. Then I was just excited to get it out there. And I went around to all the other teacher parents, like, what did you use to learn how to teach your kids how to tie their shoes? Was there any tool? They were just like, no, my kid's still in Velcro. Like there was nothing really out there yet. So that's why I sort of pursued it to make it still a little easier.
And it's really cute you said that because There is a woman who runs the Runway of Dreams. Yeah, they do like Fashion Week for disabilities and adaptive clothing. And one of the things that she said when I talked to her was, here I am, a fashion designer, and my son, who wears leg braces, just wants to wear normal pants. So what did she do? She sat down, she tore a bunch of things apart, she put them back together, and found how like magnetized pants and things like that. So I love these ideas, and these are so wonderful for helping spread the idea of inclusion, and that everybody needs support in areas that some of us take for granted. And especially in the autism community, that's something we find all too often, unfortunately. So these are wonderful. Now, do you have like a little training video, or how do you best like help people? I didn't go onto the QR code because my phone is bad, but yeah. I need an Apple.
So I think that's one of the best things about training ties is we always say they're like training wheels for shoe tying. So if you think of like training wheels on a bike, your child can safely like get on a bicycle and ride with training wheels and kind of learn and get comfortable. And then you can take the training wheels off and then ride the bike. So training ties are kind of similar in that the child can like have it on their shoe. They can watch the tutorial video themselves. We have a tutorial video on our website, and there's a QR code that comes in every single box of training ties so that you can like pull up the tutorial on the phone. Yep. Or on the iPad, or you can we've seen somebody like hook it up to the TV in their living room so that their child can be set up with their shoes and everything. And they actually can like have the independence to be able to learn by themselves without the parent like trying to do it for them or getting their hands in and that kind of thing. So I think that's one of the like most unique things about it is that it's the child can take it and kind of like learn and try by themselves and like gain the confidence, as opposed to like needing a parent to be able to like, do it for them or help them.
And I think a lot of people who struggled could be, you have an individual in your family's on the spectrum who's older. There could be years of frustration surrounding the training.
13. Still in slip-ons, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And embarrassment and all of that.
And a lot of times they don't want to learn from the parent anymore because maybe you've tried a lot of times and it's a little point of like frustration. So it's cool that you can, we've liked it so that there's an option for independence, so they can just go in the other room, pull up the video, come out of their room later on being like, yep, I got it. And you didn't, they were able to do it on their own.
And that creates so much empowerment, so much, success for that child and their learning processes. And to be able to have space. I know that, my daughter is dyslexic. And so to be able to watch a video is so important for her to be and not to just read instructions, because she would just be lost if that were the case. And so she really needs that guidance. So giving that extra little piece of guidance is so important and support. So it sounds like you guys really thought of, kind of all of the angles of how to get it done, if you will. So that's fantastic.
The empowering part was great, because that's where this idea sort of blossomed, because I love the idea of them learning. A lot of students who had so much trouble with this for so long, then having so much joy around the thing that brought them so much frustration. Yeah. So I used to have a program where I'd have my older students, my 4th and 5th graders, come in and help out with my kindergarten classes. Like I said, they were pretty large. And I would have students who didn't know how to tie their shoes, and they would come in, after learning with the training ties a week later, and they're the big kid, the 5th grader, coming down to help the kindergartners. And the kindergartners are running up to them to learn how to tie their shoes. And they just have that huge smile on the face. Like, this is something I didn't know how to do not long ago. And now I'm teaching others how to do it.
That's so great too. Leadership, right? That's how we build strong leaders in children. And that's so important. Well, sounds like you were a fantastic teacher. Lucky kids they have. Tell us about maybe some of the parents, maybe, some of the things that you heard from them and what came of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is before Bobby left teaching, right? So him going and finding a manufacturer and like starting the training ties, like, was born out of like the pandemic layoffs, but he got brought back and we weren't sure that he was actually going to pursue training ties full time. And some of the stories early on that like helped him pull the trigger on that, I think, where like one of my best friends, her 9-year-old was in physical therapy, like learning shoe tying. It had been like going on 3 years of like just like trying to learn shoe tying or with his OT, sorry, not PT, with his occupational therapist. They were like working on shoe tying as a skill, and same thing. He would just get frustrated and all of that. And so we brought him a pair of training ties, and he literally sat on the floor with his phone and like was like, "Don't look at me," and kind of like tried to do it on his own. And he tied his shoes in less than 10 minutes and then started showing his little sister, who at the time was like 4 years old, like how to do it on her shoes.
And telling her it's easy.
And telling her that it's easy after it just took him almost 3 years to learn. Right?
Oh my God.
And so it's like those kind of stories where we're like, this is really, really cool. We also did a shoe tying clinic recently. We needed some new brand images, and we kind of did like a model call locally, and we had kids as young as 3 and I think as old as like 12 of all different abilities. There are a lot of like special needs, all come. We were like at a playground in a circle, around Bobby, and Bobby kind of like did a demo, and it's like every single one of those kids learned how to tie their shoes and do it multiple times with the training ties. So the parents were like, when are you going to do another one of these things? My friend was so bummed.
Tears and hugs from parents.
Tears, hugs, high fives, like crazy, crazy, crazy. So yeah, I mean, sometimes I think our training laces, the 2 colored shoelaces that we sent you a pair of as well, were also born out of the fact that like, even though it's really, really cool to be able to like set your kid up with an iPad and give them a shoe, a shoe and a pair of training ties, for some children, I think that it's just not practical and they do need a little bit of extra help. And one of the things that Bobby's really taught me about teaching is like the teacher gets in the way a lot of times. Like part of being a teacher is like removing yourself from the situation and giving space. So the training laces are so that instead of the parent or teacher saying like, oh, grab this lace, grab that lace, and kind of like having their fingers in and having like all this language going towards the kid, the 2 color laces allow the parent to kind of like give the child some physical space, even if they're in the same room, and to be able to say like, okay, now grab the blue lace, like make a loop with the red lace and all of that. And so instead of saying like, grab the left, grab the right, which is really, really confusing. It's like colors, and it, you know what I mean? It's like gives more space and is less frustrating. So
I love that.
That's something to note too.
Yeah, that started because I used to bring all my old big basketball sneakers and teach the students how to tie their shoes on larger sneakers, and they all enjoyed that. But I would always take 2 color laces, and this is a good tip for people too, is you just take 2 color laces and cut them in half and then retie them and restrain the shoe. And now you have 2 color laces, but ours obviously look a little bit better than
they sure do. Really nice, actually. Thank you so much. And I'll make sure that, like I said, all of the links and everything are down in the description. And I didn't have a chance to have my son try them or show him the video. So we'll do that. And then we'll get back to you with our exciting news that he can tie his shoes after 13 years, right? Yeah, it's been a challenge. And I mean, there were times when we had that in his therapy and things, and like you said, just unsuccessful, and you give up and you give in. And as a parent, you say, that's not worth the fight. It's not, and one thing kind of funny that I used to say to newer parents that were getting, just overwhelmed by the process is they'll like have their whole life to eat a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Like, don't force it. They have their whole life to sit on a toilet. Don't force it. They have their whole life to learn how to tie their shoes, right? And now it's like there's something new that we can be like, oh, wait, now there's this tool that we can use to help tie their shoes and make it easier. So it's really fantastic that you guys have, you put so much mental, empathy and work into this to make it so much easier for kids. Because I mean, not only are you helping them be empowered kids and become leaders for their, siblings or friends, but then the parents, all of the weight that you're taking off of them, and the, kind of feeling of failure, like I can't teach my kid how to do this. And that's hard for parents to have to go through that. So yeah, wonderful service, and congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really fun when I was teaching, and I'd have a parent come in and tell me, like, because they'd heard that I've helped with shoe tying before, like, he's just, so-and-so just really struggles with it. And then, like, when they actually get it, when they on pickup to see it, like, the student would just run out there and be like, I know how to do it now. So it's like that those sort of vibes is what we're going for sure.
Absolutely.
To take something that's so frustrating and difficult task to learn, and hopefully flip that and make it enjoyable to learn.
We also had one really cool story that we heard from a parent is that the dad had a pair of Nikes, and they got like a matching pair of Nikes for the son. I think the son was like 10.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And so like he had these like cool shoes that like matched his dad's shoes, and he always wanted to wear them to school to show his friends, but the parents didn't want him to be able to wear the shoes to school because as soon as the laces are untied, then they're going to be getting dragged all over the ground, and they didn't want to put that on the teacher that she'd have to keep tying his shoelaces all day. So it was just like a special weekend thing, right? The child couldn't tie their shoes. So he came and learned how to tie his shoes at that shoe tying clinic that we ran with Training Ties. And his mom, he was so ecstatic, and his mom was like almost crying, like, I'm just so excited. Like now he gets to actually wear his shoes to school because his friends all have laced shoes and they have their cool like black and red Nikes and whatever. And it's like, it's a thing that like kids want to like fit in, right? Like everyone wants to fit in. Everyone wants to feel like they're part of something, and like to be able to get that independence by like part of the reason why we have the different colors is like, if you want to, you can put a black training tie on black shoes, or you can put an orange training tie on orange shoes so they can be a little bit discreet. And then if the laces come untied, they just come out with the loops, and the child can like just bend down and tie it, even if they're not fully confident yet with doing all of the steps. So anyway, so that was like something that we found was really cool. It's like, it's not just about learning a skill. Sometimes it's also like, hey, I want to wear the cool pair of shoes to school and match my dad and show my friends and all of that. So
no, I agree. I would say it is so much more than just tying shoes. It is empowerment, confidence, independence. Like you're building a whole better child here, folks. So really great job. I'm super excited to talk to you guys and get to know you better today. Where can we go and find all of these good things? Tell us, do you have a website?
We do. It's trainingties.com. And we have our
That's
Instagram. Yeah, exactly.
Good. Yeah. Tell us your social medias and things you have.
They're all at Training Ties. So we're on Instagram and Facebook, and trying to work on Pinterest.
Right. Get those TikTok videos going with those kids tying their shoes. Oh, that's wonderful. It's so glad. I'm so glad to meet you guys, and I'm so happy to have this tool to be able to promote and show that we can give our kids, hard tasks with tools that will help them learn. And how good, like I said, is this for parents to kind of take that pressure off and let them know that it's not always about finding your child's, like hiding your child's abilities with the Velcros and the slip-ons. Like always be trying new things. And this is a great way to introduce shoe tying. And I'm sure that leads to other types of skills in the future, as far as like, they go into Boy Scouts and do knot tying or something, right? I mean, I'm sure that you could like literally think of ways that it would increase their skills and knowledge in the future as well. So it's been such a pleasure to meet you guys, and I'm really excited to see, how far this goes for you.
Yeah, we are too.
Thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And I'd love to stay in touch. And, the next event you guys have, let me know so I can help promote them in all the communities and everything. And wonderful job. So yeah, thanks so much for being here today.